Okay, today is the 6th of October 2018. I haven't made a video for a while. And, so some years ago, like in 1971, I went to visit a friend of mine in England. And we had somebody else came to visit, and somebody asked him how he was doing, and he said, "I'm in an existential vacuum." And I thought, I know what that's like. So I've kind of been in an existential vacuum, but I've been working on a couple of projects that I'll have available soon, and it'll be spectacular. But I won't tell you about it at the moment. But I watched a video a few days ago, and I had this thought about the devil card and about how people read cards. And a normal way of reading a card is to have an idea of the meaning of the card and to work with it. But that's a mistake. And if you use meanings, maybe you'll be correct, or maybe what you say will be valid and legitimate, but it could just as easily be wrong. So I'm going to tell you a better way, an alternative to having a list of meanings that's going to give you and enable you to do better readings. So I'm going to do this today and maybe a follow-up in a couple of days, and then I'm not quite sure, but I will be back at some point. So the thing is, I'm not sure when you'll be watching this, but at the moment, what's happening in North American news is that this fellow called Brett Kavanaugh has been nominated to be the new justice on the Supreme Court of the United States. And so about 2 weeks ago, things are looking good for him to be nominated. And then a couple of weeks ago, it was revealed that a woman was accusing him of sexual assault when she was 15 and he was 17. So there's all this scandal. And then on the one hand, the Republicans in the Senate don't care that he told lies to them. And the Democrats do care, and they don't want Kavanaugh. And women, lots of women don't want Kavanaugh to be nominated. So somebody with a tarot channel did a reading about Kavanaugh and the Supreme Court and his nomination. And she began with, she did a Celtic cross. And she said the first card is the current situation, and the first, it's represented by the devil, right? So she took this to mean, she said the devil, among other things, is debauchery and I can't remember what, but like sexual misconduct and drunkenness and that kind of stuff is what the devil is. So she figured that, or the way she spoke, this is the current situation Kavanaugh accused of, and Kavanaugh did he is guilty of the sexual assault. This is what the reader took from the devil being the first card. And so and she talked about how the devil card, among other things, can mean debauchery and drunkenness and all the rest of it, which is what Kavanaugh has been accused of. So the reader took the fact that the devil came up as being confirmation of what Professor Ford, his accuser, said that he did. And it seems to make sense. However, if you're a Republican and you want Kavanaugh to be nominated, or not to be nominated, but to be approved and to go on to the Supreme Court, you can look at the devil card that shows, let's say, criminality and lies and deceit and say, yes, it's a Democrat plot. They paid Professor Ford to make up lies about the candidate, about Kavanaugh. And it's a plot, and it's illegal, and it's criminal. Because that's the devil as well. Only if you're a Republican, you can look at the devil card and think, this proves my point, that it's all a sham and it's lies. Whereas if you're a Republican, you can look at that, or a Democrat, you can look at the devil card and say, yes, it's true, Kavanaugh is a drunk and a sexual assaulter. So if you start with a meaning of a card and use the meaning to answer your question, you can just see what you want to see. And you think you're giving a correct answer, but are you? And often you're not, because you're forgetting about the other side and you're assuming that what you see is what's actually going on there. So what I'm saying is, if you want to read cards, read them. Don't remember meanings and then try and fit the meaning to the as the answer to the question. Because if we're to look, so my point is, and this kind of thing I talk about in various classes and on various videos, look at the picture and look at what the activity is in the picture and derive an answer from that. Because here, let's say we want to know about Kavanaugh and Professor Ford and the nomination and the scandal and what's going on. And the first card we get is the devil. This is all reversed. Okay, so there's the devil. So what are we dealing with? What's the beginnings of the answer? Because sometimes an answer with a Celtic cross, you don't always get a straight answer with the first card, right? So because some questions are complicated and there is no easy answer, or there isn't an obvious answer. It's not like 1 and 1 equals 2 and it can only equal 2. So we're asking about politics, about morality, about people, about their history, about the past, about current North American society and all the rest of it. So the first card's the devil. Okay, so what do we have? The current situation is you've got a man and a woman who've been chained to a piece of stone. So neither of them can move it. Neither of them is free to move around. And that's the starting point of the answer. So it's going to take time to figure out what the answer is, because you've got 10 cards and a Celtic cross. But our starting point is not that Kavanaugh's guilty and that he's a drunk. But our starting point is people are trapped and they are not free to move. And also, if you look at the picture, you've got a chain around the neck, and the neck controls the throat. So maybe what we would say as well is we're in a situation where people can't, because they've got a chain or a piece of metal around their neck, they can't speak, they can't move freely. And also, we have to wonder about how much they can actually say because of the thing around their neck. So what they can communicate, or what they can say, or how much they can reveal is under control. It's not, they aren't free. And that's the starting point for the answer to the question, that the people, the man and the woman, aren't free. Not that Kavanaugh's guilty or that Professor Ford is a liar. So if you want to read cards, look at the picture and figure out what's going on in the picture, and then apply the activity of the illustration or the action in the illustration. Apply that to the question. And that's how to make sense of cards rather than learn meanings. Because the thing is, okay, the man and the woman can't move around. They're not free. So you can tend to think this is a bad card or shows a bad situation. But let's say you've got somebody who's manic depressive. And so when they're manic, everything is wonderful and everything is full of possibilities, and they go crazy. They just are so happy. But then they slip into the depressed stage where everything is dark and bleak. So there's somebody I know, she was getting divorced and her husband gave her a large sum of money so she could set herself up and pay rent for a year and live for a year while she got herself together. And she was manic depressive, or she is manic depressive. So she was given this large sum of money, and the first thing she did was go out and buy an expensive car. And then a week later, she's got no money left. So when she bought the car, she was manic. Then a week later, she's broke. No money, no income, no job, nowhere to live. That's a depressive state. So let's say you've got somebody like her or somebody in a situation like that. So she wants to know what's my future, and the first card you get is the devil. That's a good card because she can't move around. Her problem, so to speak, is that she's too free, and she's just free to do whatever she wants, and she ends up in trouble. So the devil and the restrictions shown by the devil card is actually a good card for this particular person at this time, that they're not going to be free to move around and to waste what they've got. They're going to be disciplined, they're going to be confined, they're going to be controlled. And for them, given their nature, that's a good card to begin the reading with, the devil. So rather than look at a card and think this is good or this is bad, or think about meanings and words that you've been given or that you've learned for any particular card, think about the question and the questioner and what makes sense and think through what the image is telling you, and then apply it to the question that's been asked. And you're going to be able to do a reading where you're reading what's there, not memorize, not passing on what you memorized from some other time or from somebody else's thoughts. Okay, that was it. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back in a bit, I think, with the second card that came up for this Celtic Cross reading about Kavanaugh, which may be useful for you to get a better idea, because people wonder about what's the second card. It's the opposing force. What does that actually mean? How do you combine the first two cards? And I've got a couple of ideas about that will make the whole reading of a Celtic Cross an awful lot easier and more sensible and more logical. So thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you in a little bit. Okay? And if you have comments, leave them down below. I'll try and answer them. Anyway. Okay, I'll see you again. Okay? Bye-bye.